We begin in Mexico, where votes are being counted and the country is all set to elect its first female president. Official results are yet to be announced, but the ruling Morena party is claiming victory for its candidate, Claudia Sheinbaum. The opposition's Xochitl Galvez is the other frontrunner. She called on supporters to continue the fight against authoritarianism. The election campaign has been overshadowed by violence. Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, joins us now live from the capital, Mexico City. And Lucia, Claudia Sheinbaum's often been called the continuity candidate, following closely behind the outgoing Manuel Lopez Obrador. But how do we expect her to make her own mark on the leadership?
Hi there. Well, we really don't know how or if she will make her own mark, because so far she has followed the guidelines of Lopez Obrador so closely, and that to a great extent accounts for what we believe will be her overwhelming victory in this election. Now, let me just set the scene for you here. We are right in front of the presidential palace, where thousands of people, supporters of Sheinbaum, are gathering at this hour. We've just been hearing a mariachi band playing. You probably could hear it yourselves. And people are there. There's beginning to come more and more as it becomes clearer that Sheinbaum appears to have won. It isn't, though, official. And she is staying right now at a hotel, which is her campaign headquarters for this day, about a kilometer away from here. Her plan is to walk here, surrounded by supporters as well, and give a victory speech. Again, it's a bit early to make that as a definitive call, but all the exit polls do seem to indicate that she has won very handsomely.
Obviously, many other countries are looking very closely as to what exactly happens in Mexico. So what about relations with Mexico's northern neighbor, the United States? It's been fractious under Donald Trump, cordial at best under Biden. So what next, do we think?
Well, let's not forget that the elections in the United States are only a month after the next president of Mexico is sworn in, and it will make a big difference who wins in the U.S., whether it is Donald Trump, who had a very brittle relationship with the current president and with his party, which presumably will be the same party and the same philosophy as the next president. Not so much so with Joe Biden, but always the relationship between Mexico and the United States has been difficult. They call them distant neighbors, particularly now with the situation of the migrant crisis, the hundreds of thousands of migrants that come through Mexico on the way to the U.S., which, by the way, Mexico is now the #1 trading partner of the United States. So either way, both countries need each other, and they're going to have to find a way to work together.
All right, Lucia, many thanks for that. Hearing you loud and clear above the amazing sound of the mariachi band behind you. Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman there. Let's head now to Manuel Rappalo, who's at Xochitl Galvez's campaign headquarters, also in Mexico City. So, Manuel, it's not over until it's over. But Galvez has been trailing behind Sheinbaum from the start, pretty much. What now for Galvez and her supporters?
Not over till it's over, you're right, and I'm starting to realize that we don't have quite as exciting of a background as our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman. No mariachi bands here. What we're waiting for instead is for the party leaders for the coalition of parties that Xochitl Galvez represents. They're expected to come up on stage. You know, if we're talking about the mood, this room has filled up since the last time that we were up live, and I'm seeing a lot of nervous faces. That probably has a lot to do with the fact that Claudia Sheinbaum, the candidate, the Morena candidate, endorsed by Mexican President Manuel Lopez Obrador, who still enjoys quite a bit of popularity in these last few months while he's still in office. It's no small feat that Xochitl Galvez was able to sort of bring all of these different parties together into a coalition. Parties that would normally not have a whole lot in common other than their shared hatred and vitriol for those sort of policies and vision of President Manuel Lopez Obrador. So Xochitl Galvez certainly represents a departure from those from those policies, a different future, if you will, for Mexico. And she also enjoys the backing of a very strong political movement in her own right. But ultimately, June the 2nd is that sort of ultimate test of whether or not that political movement is strong enough to overshadow Claudia Sheinbaum. So far, that's not what we're seeing. Now, we have to keep in mind, less than 2% of votes have been counted. It's not looking great for Xochitl Galvez at the moment, but this is Mexico. There's historic precedent here, and I think in the back of people's minds, anything can happen. Their faces sort of tell a different story right now. Again, lots of nervous looks, but we're in the final stretch now. Regardless of the outcome, the country is poised to make history with the first woman president.
Yeah, poised to make history indeed. Manuel Rappalo there at Xochitl Galvez's campaign headquarters in Mexico City. Thanks for that.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.